Welcome to Vicky Makes and Builds. Today I have a puzzle by a brand that I have never actually built before. I've never built one of their puzzles, and it is from the company Heye, and it's this puzzle here. The puzzle is called Meow, and the image is by an artist called Lora Zombie. And as soon as I saw it on the website that I was looking at, I just was instantly drawn to it. I loved the colours, just the way they were kind of splashed across the white background, and the little face peeking out as well, the little cat face that's peeking out, just reminded me so much of Grace, my cat. Who, if you've watched my other videos, you will no doubt have met. But if not, it's my little boy cat. And it's just the cheeky little face peeking out, you know, and he does that so often, just peeks out from, or pops up from under something or somewhere and makes you jump, or does something cheeky like pounce on your shoelaces or something. And it just, everything about it just... I really loved the image, and it was by a brand that I hadn't tried before. And to be honest, I was looking to try some new brands of puzzles because I do have my favourites. I am a big fan of Clementoni. I like Ravensburgers. I love Cloudberry's puzzles, but you know, I didn't want this to become a channel where I was just doing a sort of cycle of all the same puzzles all the time. So I thought I would try something a little different. So I've gone with the Heye today, and I'm going to give this puzzle a go. Now, I don't know how difficult it's going to be. I've put a picture of it up on Instagram, and a couple of people have said, oh, that looks hard. And I never really kind of considered the difficulty factor when I picked it. I just was so drawn in by the beautiful artwork. And that I kind of didn't think this might be quite hard to do, quite challenging. And looking at it, I can see what they mean. I do think it probably will be quite tough. There's obviously kind of a splash of sort of colour, and it's all mixed up. And but at the same time, there are lots of different colours. So, you know, pieces that I can hopefully separate out and put together in maybe little sections, little segments. There's quite a lot of pink around the sort of the edges, but the yellow is sort of like in little dots. So possible I might be able to get some of those yellow bits fitted in, and obviously the cat face will be something I can differentiate as well. So maybe it won't be so bad. Maybe it'll be super tough. Who knows? The proof will be in the puzzling, but it is a Heye puzzle, and I've never done a Heye before, so I have no idea what the pieces are like either. That might be something that adds to the challenge, or maybe helps. I have no idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this puzzle opened up, and we will see what we can see. So I'm excited to get into this. It's nice doing something new, something different for a change. So I'm just going to open it up. I mean, I'm loving the box, loving the outside of it. It feels like good, strong, sturdy cardboard. Such a lovely, bright image. I've heard of Heye, so you know I know they're a relatively popular brand. So I'm going to just open it up just now. See, oh, looking good so far. I'm not seeing majorly odd sort of random pieces or anything like that. These look sort of pretty good. Little booklet with a funny chap on it with a big red nose, and oh, it's just like a catalogue of some of the different puzzles that they do. Obviously they use Lora Zombie, this artist that did this puzzle, but there are other ones as well. One thing that drew me to the Heye puzzles was just how colourful their images were, and kind of how fun as well. I was quite drawn to there was an image of a lion. That's not in here. There's a few. It was kind of this sort of style, where it was lots of colours, but it was a lion, but it was sold out, so I couldn't get that. But and there's a line there, but it's not the same one. But yeah, I mean, as soon as I saw this one, I was hooked. So I picked out this one, but another bunch of puzzles that I actually really am quite drawn to by Heye are these ones, these Zozoville ones, the monsters. They're by an artist whose name I cannot remember, but I will more than likely get one of these puzzles, and I'll be able to talk more about it a bit then once I do. But I just think these monsters are so funny. Just kind of going about normal human things like taking a selfie and doing laundry, but you know, it's a monster doing it rather than human. I just think that's really really quite cool. So anyway, that's that, just a little catalogue there, and there's nothing else except the bag of pieces, so we will get this opened up just now and we will have a look and see what we've got. All right, okay. Oh, did you know, these put me in mind of, I'm actually partway through another puzzle at the moment, and it's a Wasgidge, so it's a jumbo puzzle, and actually these pieces look a lot like them. Really strong, sturdy pieces, same coloured kind of light blue cardboard on the back, maybe slightly different shapes, kind of holes and knobs, but all sort of the different standard shapes. So it puts me in mind a lot of those pieces, and I must admit I am a fan of jumbo pieces. They are very sturdy, very strong, and they hold together quite well. So there's a few edge pieces stuck together, so obviously it's not quite cut right to the edge, but it's only kind of by a little tiny bit that it's stuck, so it's not damaging the pieces, pulling them apart, which is good. But yeah, I'm impressed by the thickness of the cardboard on these, and the image on the piece looks to be just as striking as it is on the box. It's not sort of faded in any way. I mean, there's really, you know, lovely colours jumping out at me here. And oh, this has just made me more excited to start this puzzle. These pieces look really good. And matte finish again, kind of like a cross hatching on the piece, a little bit like Clementone, although they look just slightly more woven to me. But again, it's a bit of shine, but not too glossy at all, which is what I like in a puzzle piece. So, oh, these look great. These look absolutely great. So I'll just give them a little shuffle. Just looking at the box, I sort of thought I would probably sort on this one because there's just so many colours. And it isn't like a gradient where, you know, it blends one colour to the next colour to the next, kind of in a nice rainbow sort of pattern. So I thought, you know, there might be a challenge to the kind of the splashy colour aspect of this puzzle. So I think I'm not going to do the shuffle method with this puzzle, which would be my sort of usual default kind of go-to. I am going to sort on this one, I think, and I'm going to just sort by colour. If I find pieces that are obviously the cat, like there's a bit here. Oh, sorry. There's a bit there that looks to be the cat's whiskers. If I find cat pieces, really obvious cat pieces, I will put them to one side, and I will obviously separate the border, the edge pieces. But other than that, I think that this is one I'm going to sort, and I'll sort by colour. The colours are kind of splashed all over, but there aren't so many places where there's like yellow that I'm going to struggle kind of finding the right parts. So like, for example, yellow as an example. So yeah, I think that's going to be my approach with this. I think that's probably going to be the most kind of efficient way of tackling it. And probably the way I would most enjoy as well. I mean, normally I kind of relax into the shuffle method, and I feel like I enjoy a puzzle more when I do it that way, but sometimes, you know, if that's not going to be the most efficient way of doing the puzzle, sometimes that can be frustrating. So yeah, I think with this one I will be sorting But yeah, I'm really impressed with these pieces. I'm really looking forward to starting this. So yeah, well, we'll see how this build goes. But based on just looking at these pieces, I would say expect more Heye puzzles from me in the future. This might become a favourite. But yeah, we'll get on with this just now, and I'll start by doing some sorting. Okay, so that's the sorting done, and I just love when it's a really colourful puzzle and you just have piles of gorgeous colours, which is the case here. So yeah, first thing to note, fair bit of puzzle dust, got kind of quite sort of grainy fingers, but not so much that it's a massive problem, but you know, there it is. And yeah, so I'll just take you through these piles of pieces. So this one is the edge pieces, and this tiny one beside the edge pieces is the artist's signature, which will attach to the edge because there's a few bits like this one. It's kind of part of the artist's signature. So I've just put those beside the edge. And this pile here is pieces with red on, very deep red, and also the brighter reds. They were, I mean, because this is kind of just a splash of colour, and there's all the colours kind of, I mean, there isn't just one colour on a piece as a general rule. I've tried to kind of go with what predominates. So these are the red ones. These ones here are sort of the dark purpley, kind of dark pinky colours. I had these as two separate piles at one point, but I found them kind of blending in with each other, so I just kind of put them together. So they're really dark. There's almost kind of dark blues in this pile as well. So that's that pile there. That is the pink pile, and there are some dark pinks in this pile, so I'll kind of overlap with this pile probably a little bit, but mostly that's the lighter pinks. This one here is the lighter sort of bluey greens, kind of, some of these are almost turquoise in colour, but they have kind of more of a blue to them than this pile here, which is the green pile. And there are kind of different shades of green. That's kind of like a aquamarine kind of a green there, and then you've got other greens that are a bit more stark and bright. So anyway, that's sort of predominantly green colours. This pile here is yellow. This one here is pieces with a lot of, or a little bit of white on. The white tends to be around the edge of the puzzle. Like it's like a painting on a white piece of paper. So these bits where the paint hasn't quite splashed is where you've got most of the white. There are a couple of white splatters kind of in the middle of the colour here, and just a couple here, but they're not very big. So mostly these pieces will, I would imagine, go around the edge. So they're the pieces I've separated there. This pile here is sort of miscellaneous. They're sort of not any one particular colour, no real brightness to them. So I just kind of threw them all in there. A few of them have some dark red. So I'm not really sure. Really, I think they will just kind of remain miscellaneous until I can figure out where they go in the puzzle. And I think, apart from one pile, that's all of them. So this pile here are ones I could find of the cat. Now, I don't think I've got all of them, but it was very clear where the whiskers were. And I think I might have found an eye, which sort of covered quite a lot of the piece there. There's an eye. So they're ones I put to one side because I thought they were the cat. So, yeah, that was a fairly easy sort. Just, I mean, apart from the ones where the colours were sort of dull and I didn't really know quite which ones to put them in, which pile to put them in, mostly it was fairly kind of easy to sort. So now I just need to start putting them together. So I'll start with the edge, and I'll put together these pieces with the artist signature on, and then I've not quite decided yet. I might have a go at the yellows and reds, and possibly the cat. Can start with the small piles first. It's what I tend to do once I've sorted a puzzle. I tend to do the smaller piles first. Then I'm drawn towards these white pieces, mostly because I know where they are in the puzzle. Like, I know that they'll be round the edge somewhere. I mean, apart from those couple of little spots, which I think might help, because as well, I'll probably be able to attach a lot of these to the edge pieces as well. So I am going to, I think I'm going to do that. I'll do the edge first and the artist signature. Then I will lay out the yellows and reds and maybe try and put a few of those together, and then I'll tackle the whites and possibly the cat. And then from there on out, I'll decide, just from what I've got put together really, which of these piles to do next. But yeah, it's going pretty well so far. Pleased with progress. Okay, so I'm just stopping here very briefly. I'm almost finished the edge, and I'm pretty certain that I've got all the pieces right so far. However, I've spotted kind of an odd quirk about these edge pieces, and they are that, now I'm going to see if you can tell. If you just kind of use this, if we use this top edge as an example, all the pieces from that piece there, all the way across there, sort of naturally kind of curve. They sort of sit in like an arc. I'm sort of exaggerating it with my finger, just to sort of make the point, because I don't know if it's hard to tell on the camera, but like, it's obvious that these pieces are correct, but when you slot them in, I've not been quite sure, especially where it's been kind of white pieces next to white pieces. I've not been quite sure if I've had the right piece, because it sort of doesn't lay straight. You have to kind of force it into a straight position. And I think I know why. I actually did the sorting for this yesterday, and we're now on the kind of the evening of the following day. So I can't fully remember, but I think when I was shuffling through the pieces and there were one or two stuck together, I think a lot of those pieces that were stuck together were actually edge pieces. And I think what's happened is they've kind of got stuck at the very edge here where the cardboard's just not quite cut through right to the edge, and I've had to sort of pull it apart. But what's ended up happening as a result of that is that a lot of the pieces have kind of like just a tiny bit that sticks out at the bottom of the edges. You can feel it. It's hard to see with the camera. You can maybe just about spot that one there, but they stick out ever so slightly, and the overall effect when you put them together, until they're in like a full rectangular sort of frame and they're all together, the overall effect is that they just kind of sort of sit in this sort of bent position until you physically like put them straight. And yeah, it was a little bit confusing to start with, I have to say. It was just a tiny bit confusing, but I mean, the pieces fit together nicely. I could sort of see they were right from the colours, but I wasn't certain when I was doing, all white pieces. I wasn't certain if I had the piece right because of this sort of bending effect that the edge pieces have. And I think it only is the edge pieces. I think that all the inner pieces won't have that, because it wasn't really inner pieces that I was finding stuck together. It was mostly edge pieces, and I think that's the reason why. So just an odd little quirk, just kind of an observation I've made. I mean, it's not too big of a deal, but yeah, not something I've come across before. Right, so stopping for a quick progress report here. So far, I have put together some red, which are largely still floating here on the left-hand side. I've put together some yellow, some of which I've managed to attach to the top alongside some of the red there. And there's some kind of floating yellow bits as well. That's kind of the way this puzzle is, because all the colours are scattered across the puzzle, because it's kind of a splat sort of pattern. You know, the yellow's not all in one place, and the red and all the rest of it. So, you know, I suspect it's going to look a bit messy for a while, but this bottom bit is starting to build up quite nicely. And one thing I've noticed, actually, I don't know if you have seen my my first gradient puzzle video that I did. I mentioned that I seem to find it easier to put together the lighter colours. And I have to say the same kind of thing is happening here. I mean, the reds went together okay, and it may well have been because it was at the very start of the puzzle that the progress was a little slower. But once I pulled out these sort of really light kind of turquoise, blue and greeny pieces, well, not only did they attach to the edge, so they built up fine, but I just seemed to be able to pick them out of the pile of pieces more easily and click them in more quickly. And now they are starting to kind of merge into darker colours where the cat's face is. I've managed to attach the cat's face. Now they're starting to merge into the darker colours. I've sort of slowed down again. So, I mean, it could well be partially to do with just the nature of the puzzle, and perhaps the darker bits are the slightly more difficult bits, but I do think my eyes just see the brighter colours better, or perceive them, I should say. I mean, I've got fairly good colour perception anyway, but I just kind of prefer and am more drawn to when the colours are a little bit lighter in shade. Right, what else can I point out about this? The only other thing I can really point out is that the pieces are going together really nicely, and I'm not having any issues with, you know, pieces that might fit in more than one spot. It's really nice so far. I'm really enjoying the pieces in this puzzle. Another thing to point out about these pieces is that there are quite a few with this little hook-shaped tab on them. Not all of them have it. This one's sort of normal, and that one, but that one has a hook. That one's got a gap that's a hook. That one has a hook. And they're scattered about quite frequently, to be honest. There's a hook one there. And that is one thing that's helping me put it together. You know, if I'm looking for a piece in a jumble of the same colour, sometimes, you know, if I know I'm looking for one with a kind of a hook shape, that helps me sort of narrow down a little bit as well. So far, I'm not actually finding this puzzle overly taxing, and the more colours that I am getting on the board, you know, on the table, the quicker it's coming together, because sections of red are, you know, now slotting together with sections of yellow, and sections of blue are slotting together with kind of purples and things. And then it's only really when I start to slow down and I'm not putting bigger sections together that I move on to another pile, which is where I'm at now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this pile of pieces out. These are kind of purples and blues, because I am discovering those around here, around the cat's head. And I think I could probably get this bottom bit built up quite a lot more, and also that bit just on the right of the cat as well, and get those fitted into the puzzle. So I will get the blues out just now, and I'll work on those, and I will get back to you when I start the next colour. Right, so at the point now where I've sort of tackled enough of the colours that it was starting to become a bit of a mess, and I had to clear away the remaining kind of individual pieces that I still had. So I've put those around the side, and I've left on the board any sections that are, you know, two pieces together or more. And that's just given me a better sort of, it's just a more tidy kind of viewpoint, and makes it a bit easier for me to now put it together. I've pulled out the pink pieces now, so that's what that pile is there, and I'm just kind of slowly starting to go through those and put them in. I think a lot of those will go on this side, on the right. There's some at the edge there. There's quite a lot of pink on this puzzle, probably. Aside from green, pink is probably my biggest pile of pieces, so because there's some up there as well. So this will be maybe a slightly tougher pile to handle, but hopefully now I've got, you know, a goodly bit of the puzzle done, hopefully they'll start to go in pretty quick. So I'm just going to get on with that just now. I finished it. I enjoyed this puzzle very, very much. It was a new brand, so I did not know what to expect. New to me, that is. I did not know what to expect from a Heye puzzle. I was really, really happy with the quality of the pieces, and I absolutely adored the image. And I just think, you know, the combination of the amazing image and the, you know, the lovely pieces and everything just made for such a lovely puzzling experience. I think this is probably going to go down as one of my favourite puzzles that I've ever done. I can't stop looking at it when I pull it out, because most of the time it's covered up, you know, to keep it safe from kids and cats and things. When I pull it out, I just stare at it. I just think it's such a lovely picture, and I love the colours and the little cat face and everything. Oh, it's just so lovely. I really enjoyed it. I would highly recommend the brand, and I would highly recommend any puzzle with Lora Zombie artwork on it. It's just so lovely. So there isn't very much I can say about this puzzle that isn't great. There were just a couple of things I was going to mention, and they're really not that big of a deal, to be honest. But there was that little quirk that I found with the edge pieces, just where the machine hadn't quite cut through right to the edge on some of the pieces, and it had created this kind of curving effect where the pieces were together and they were correct, but they didn't sit straight. They just sort of naturally sat in this little kind of curved shape. Because there was obviously just like a tiny bit of cardboard at the sort of edge of each piece, and it was just causing it to kind of push upwards. Okay, so you will have seen maybe a very brief jump in the video there where 1 second the cat wasn't on the table and now the cat is. That is because he was making loads of noise in the background, and I just sort of shouted his name and he stopped and he came and he jumped on the table. So I'd much rather him be there, because he's not making noise there. So you sit there on the cat puzzle and all will be well. Right, so yes, I call the edge piece thing a quirk because it wasn't really an issue. If it was a solid colour puzzle and, you know, there was a definite question of where pieces might go and if they're correct, then yeah, it might have been a problem. But in this one, there's an image on the puzzle. The pieces were very obviously in the correct place according to the image, and so it wasn't an issue. And they just straightened out once I put them in. You just kind of moved them into position and it was fine. The only other thing I would say is that I likened the pieces of this puzzle at the start to the pieces in a jumbo puzzle, and I still hold to that. They're very thick, very sturdy pieces, very nice to work with, kind of matte finish. However, a jumbo puzzle stays together and holds together really well. And with this one, I actually thought I might be able to do a puzzle pickup on it, but I'm not going to attempt that on this one. After having put it together, and the way it came together in lots of different sections, when it actually came to moving the sections and putting them in the right place in the puzzle, or maybe fixing them to the edge of the puzzle, something like that, when it actually came to moving them, they kept falling apart on me and it was a little bit frustrating. I had to sort of pick up bits of the sections and move them into place and then just put them together again. So, you know, the holding together bit was unlike jumbo pieces, but again, I created my own expectation there. And having made that sort of link, I just kind of assumed that they would hold together a bit better, but, you know, it was fine. You know, they did go in fine. And, you know, they weren't so bad that I thought the puzzle was loose. But I would not do the puzzle pickup challenge on this. Not that I really need to necessarily, but, you know, I thought that I would point that out. And that's it. Literally, that is it. Like, there's just nothing negative I have to say about it. I think overall the quality is just lovely. The image is lovely. And I am really glad that I picked this puzzle as my first Heye puzzle, because I definitely will be doing more of them. I want to get more Heye puzzles and do more Heye puzzles. I'm very, very pleased that, you know, I've started branching out to different brands, new to me, and that this is the one I've started with because I've had such a good experience with it. It was totally enjoyable. Putting it together was absolutely fine. I thought it might be quite difficult, and in places it was, but in other places it was quite quick and it came together fine. And I think I sort of had the same experience with this as I did with my gradient puzzle, the Cloudberries gradient. I found that when I was putting together the lighter sections of the puzzle, like this bottom bit here, this light blue bit, it came together really fast and it built up really fast. And then, you know, I managed to put the cat in and everything, and it came together just really quickly. And I thought, oh, this is actually not bad. And then I started to move on to some of the darker bits, kind of above the cat's head. And then I slowed down, and I just think my eyes just prefer and perceive the lighter shades of colour better than they do the darker shades. I just think that that's just my eyes. But, you know, even at that, it wasn't so taxing that it ever became frustrating. I really did enjoy the process the whole way through. I just had slow bits and faster bits, and it was absolutely fine. There was enough of a range of colours that I could work on different bits of the puzzle and then just put them in place. It meant that the whole build was quite bitty to start with a lot of floating sections, which, you know, obviously sort of came together as I went along. But I'm glad I sorted on it, I must admit. That isn't my default sort of method for doing a puzzle, but it's 1,000 pieces. Sorting wasn't a big chore. It didn't take me very long, and there was no real kind of humming and hawing as to which pile to put a piece in. It was really just that pile's that colour, that pile's that colour, that pile's that colour, and so on. And there was only a tiny, tiny pile of miscellaneous pieces, which were all just kind of mishmashes of sort of grey-brown colours, where colours were obviously mixing together in the image. And they went in fine. So it just, I think sorting made the process more enjoyable for me in this case. I don't usually enjoy sorting, but it was not a chore. It didn't take me long. Only 1,000 pieces, so, you know, I wasn't at it forever, like on a, you know, a 6,000 or a 9,000 piece puzzle. So that's the way I would recommend approaching this puzzle. I think trying to do the shuffle method would have just taken quite a long time, and I would still be at this puzzle if I use that method. I suppose it's leisurely if you want to do it that way, but I think I would have just got sick of not being able to find pieces in the end. So I think I've approached it the right way with the sorting. I think that was the best way to do it. And in the end, the puzzle took me 6 hours and 18 minutes to finish. So I think that's pretty good. I wasn't slowed down too much, you know, there were wee bits that did, but I think overall that's a pretty good time for a 1,000 piece puzzle. So yeah, that's really all I've got to say about it. Thank you for watching. If you loved the video, please leave a like. And if you haven't subscribed, then please do consider subscribing to my channel. And I will see you in the next video.